NBC Sports welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.
Much anticipated Monday night matchup, the battle of the Appalachians and the battle between Culpepper and Manning. For more on that, let's go down to the field and Michelle Tafoya. Michelle.
Al, Peyton Manning and Dante Culpepper are the number 1 and 2 quarterbacks in the NFL by every major statistical measurement. You could flip a coin to decide which one is better. And while their paths to success have been similar in some ways, they've been vastly different in others. Peyton was born into a football family, the son of Olivia and Archie Manning. Culpepper was born in a prison and adopted by then 62-year-old Emma Culpepper. Peyton was the National High School Player of the Year. Dante was Florida's Mr. Football in high school and was drafted by the Yankees. At Tennessee, Manning was the Heisman Trophy runner-up. At Central Florida, Culpepper set the NCAA record for completion percentage. The Colts took Manning with the number 1 overall pick, and 1 year later, the Vikings made Culpepper the 11th overall pick. Now, Manning became the starter right away, Al, starting in his rookie season. Culpepper waited a year before he took the reins, but both recipes worked, Al. Here they are, the 2 best passers in the NFL.
And right now, each at the apex of his career. And we'll see Culpepper first. Minnesota will receive the opening kickoff. The RCA Dome, this 21-year-old building. The Colts in their 21st season in Indiana. Moving from Baltimore. Have not gone to a Super Bowl, but they've been close since coming to Indiana. Hunter Smith is the new kickoff man. He's wrested that job from Mike Vanderjagt, the place kicker. And the opening kickoff comes down to the 12-yard line. Kelly Campbell, one of the Minnesota wideouts, comes straight up the middle to the 34-yard line. And let's take a look at the Minnesota offense.
Dante Culpepper, Central Florida.
Michael Bennett, Wisconsin.
Ontario Smith, Oregon Mighty Ducks.
Marcus Robinson, South Carolina.
Nate Burleson, Nevada Wolfpack.
Jermaine Wiggins, East Boston. Brian McKinney, Miami Hurricanes.
Chris Lewinsky, Indiana. Matt Burke, Harvard.
Dave Dixon, Arizona State.
Ned Dorsey, St. Augustine High School.
And the Vikings open with Michael Bennett and Ontario Smith both in the backfield, and the game begins with a fumble. Not unusual for somebody like Culpepper. And the ball is all the way back inside the 10, and finally the Vikings have recovered the ball, but the line of scrimmage was the 34, and they recovered at the 6. Dante Culpepper averaging over a fumble per game in his career, and that is a 28-yard loss on the first play of the game.
You know, you want to come out, you want everyone fired up, you want them all emotional and everything, and sometimes you get too fired up, you get a little too tense, and you can't even get the opening snap off. And that's exactly what happened to the Minnesota Vikings. And then the Colts, they're so excited, they can't even jump on the thing.
And Brian McKinney just does come up with the recovery. 28 yards back of the line of scrimmage. And now to give themselves some breathing space, they give it to Ontario Smith out to the 11-yard line. Dante Culpepper on a per-game basis with more fumbles than anybody in the history of the NFL, and that's the way this game begins tonight. And I can't remember seeing a 28-yard loss on a fumble in a long time.
Right, but usually those fumbles on Dante Culpepper come when he has the ball in his hands and he gets hit. That one, I don't know that that was his fault. I don't know that that wasn't the center's Matt Burke's fault, because it didn't look like he got the ball up there.
3rd and 33. It sounds like an intersection in New York. Toyed and toity-toyed.
Right, he didn't get the ball up there. Culpepper was moving out.
From the 11-yard line, Culpepper throwing underneath, and that is caught by Mo Williams. And that's a nice game, but there may not have even been a play because a timeout was called by Minnesota.
Timeout. Minnesota, called by the coach.
Called by Tice. It was so loud nobody heard it. 3rd and 33 when we come back. Town Hall Jazz for Monday night. First time we've been here in 4 years. And on 3rd and 33, the Vikings offense first in the league. The Colts defense last. But let's see what the Vikings have in store on 3rd down and 33 out of the shotgun. And it's a simple run on an inside give, and they give it to Michael Bennett. So once you begin with a 28-yard loss on 1st down, all you want to do is basically get a little bit of yardage back, give your punter some space. And I opened the game by saying it's the cushiest job, John, in the Dome tonight. And wouldn't you know it, a minute and a half into the game, we have a punt.
But who would have thought that the game would start with that 28-yard lost fumble? But they did get some of it back. I mean, I think that was a smart play. You know, you got yourself in trouble, get yourself out of a little trouble, and get in this punting situation.
The Aussie Darren Bennett came from Australia, where he played Australian rules football to punt. Former Charger Brad Pyatt will run it back. And it's a low short kick. And it takes an Indy bounce going sideways, and the Colts will take over near midfield. Good position in which to start for Peyton Manning. And let's take a look at Peyton and his mates tonight.
Peyton Manning, University of Tennessee.
Edmund James,
The U. Reggie Wayne, The U.
Marvin Harrison, Syracuse University.
Marcus Pollard, Bradley University.
Dallas Clark, Iowa.
Tariq Glenn, UC Berkeley.
Rick Mullen, Idaho Vandals.
Jeff Saturday, North Carolina.
Tupa Peko, Michigan State.
Ryan Dean, Northern Illinois.
To the U's, that is the University of Miami for Wayne and for Edgerrin James. Ball at the 49 after a 28-yard Darren Bennett kick. And they begin with what they call their stretch play as Manning gives it to James, and a nice run on 1st down, a gain of about 7. He steps out at the 42-yard line.
You know, and Peyton Manning really has to stretch to get that ball to Edgerrin James. Edgerrin James is running from the right hash mark. Now his point to run to are the numbers. You see, he's going at that angle, running out there to the numbers. So Peyton Manning has to come flat and really, really stretch out to get that ball to Edgerrin James so that he can get out on that corner.
Colts, as everybody knows who follows this game, run a lot of no huddle, almost exclusively no huddle, which doesn't necessarily mean hurry up. 2nd down and 1 from the 42-yard line, and it's James again breaking free past the line of scrimmage inside the 30 to the 27-yard line. Stopped by Antoine Winfield and Corey Chavis after a gain of 15.
It starts off the right side there. Back going Ryan Deem. You're going to see the right tackle here, right there. This is a good block right there, and that's what starts the hole. You see, boom, he gets his guy moving backward to the side, and that lets Edgerrin James run off that block.
Ball to the 27-yard line. Straight give this time. James again, and they're shredding the Minnesota defense early as they take it to the 18-yard line. So James again. James has carried 3 times for 33 yards. A lot of toid and toity-toids tonight already.
Well, you know how many times he carried the second half last week. He didn't carry the ball once, and Peyton Manning and Tom Moore were both saying the other day that they want to start off this game establishing the run, and I'll say they're doing it.
Now a quick snap. James again to the short side of the field, and he picks up the 1st down. He's taken down by Keith Newman, the outside linebacker at the 15. It's a 1st down for the Indianapolis Colts.
And that was that stretch play again. You look at Edgerrin James, and he's on this hash mark. Now, his angle is going to be right towards the numbers. You see the numbers right here, the 20. He's taking it at that angle. Peyton Manning has to stretch to get the ball out to him. It's a little easier into the close side of the field.
Minnesota tried to call a timeout, and they did get it. You could see at just before the snap, the defensive end rose up and asked for timeout. So think of this. We played 4 minutes, 23 seconds, and Minnesota's been forced to use 2 timeouts. It's been that sort of start for the Vikings. Think of this irony. Billed as the battle of the quarterbacks. 7 runs, no passes. That'll change.
The quarterbacks are yet to come. They set up this running game, you know, so that they can play action and get the big play. I wouldn't be surprised to see a play action right here.
Colts have run the ball in their first 4 plays. It's been James on each occasion for 37 yards, and he gets it again, and this time the Vikings are equal to the task. Stopping him first was E.J. Henderson, 56, the middle linebacker.
What the Colts do that's interesting is this no huddle thing. As you said, Al, it's not a hurry up, but Peyton Manning gets 3 plays from the offensive coordinator, Tom Moore. He gets 2 runs, a run right, a run left, and a pass. He looks at the defense and then decides which of the 3 he's going to run.
Now Manning sets up in the shotgun, something he does with great frequency. 2nd down and 11. Peyton looking to his left, throwing out there, caught by Wayne, cutting to the inside. And Wayne, who is really coming on, he's the number 2 receiver to Marvin Harrison. Reggie having a great year, is about a yard shy of the first down. 3rd and 1.
Yeah, he felt the pressure. You're going to see Keith Newman, 52. He comes free off that side that Peyton Manning is throwing to. He sees him coming free, knows right now, I better get this thing out of my hands, and he delivers it perfectly to Reggie Wayne.
3rd and 1 now at the 5-yard line. Harrison's caught 39 passes this year. Wayne is next at 35, and then there's Brandon Stokely at 34. Manning more than ever really spreading it around. Throwing, and the receiver falls down, but makes the catch. Marvin Harrison falling down and somehow made the catch, beating Winfield on the play for the touchdown.
It looked like Antoine Winfield looked like he was going to get an interception. Here's Marvin Harrison right here. He's running the slant there. He tries to get to the inside. Winfield did hit it and tip it, and tipped it right into Marvin Harrison.
But now they're going to call it after initially calling it a touchdown. The other official comes in and says no, and as you can see, he did not have possession. He did not have possession. Not even worth a challenge. It's 4th down and 1 from the 5-yard line. And they go for it here, giving up the field goal and winding up with a touchdown to Reggie Wayne. He beats Brian Williams, and so after the crowd began to prematurely celebrate on the initial touchdown call, the pass incomplete, and Tony Dungy says, we've got to go for 7. Forget the 3, and they get it.
I was watching him practice this play the other day, and what they do is they throw it to his back shoulder. Instead of leading him up over, he just throws it behind him. Reggie Wayne starts like he's going on a fade and just kind of stops and comes back. That isn't something that just happened. That's something that they really work on.
Mike Vanderjagt for the point after. So they start with James running it. Then Manning throws 2 passes to Wayne. 9:09 left in the quarter. And the Colts are on top early, 7-0. The resumption of that tremendous rivalry next Monday night. Colts, 8 plays. Wayne with that 5-yard TD reception on a 4th down play. James with 5 rushes for 36 yards. Hunter Smith, his 2nd kickoff of the game. Kelly Campbell with tremendous speed. But can't use it there as he runs toward the sideline and is taken down. Now let's go back to take a look at the touchdown play here. And look at the clock in the bottom left corner of the screen. And you'll see this thing is going to go to 0 before the snap. But no call was made. The deal on that is the back judge. The back judge looks at the clock down in the end zone, and then he looks down to see if the ball has been snapped. So there is a tiny lag between the time he looks at the clock and looks down, and it works to the benefit that time, that little lag of the Indianapolis Colts, because it could have been delay of the game. This is Ontario Smith on 1st down, and he picks up about 9 yards. And it's 2nd down and 1. The center of the Vikings right now, Matt Burke, is our man who's mic'd up tonight.
Normally when I screw up a snap, we end up winning.
So that was his fault. It was the first snap of the game, and like I said, everyone comes out a little excited and sometimes too excited, and those things happen.
Ontario Smith. It would take a guy from Harvard to figure out something like that to try to, reassess the situation and the mood on the bench.
That's called spin.
Absolutely. That's right.
Harvard, when you learn how to spin. Take something bad, the loss of 28 yards, and your team's down by 7, and you spin it in. We usually win when that stuff happens. He's a heck of a center, too. I mean, he's just not a guy from Harvard playing center in the NFL. He's playing center very well in the NFL.
From the 36-yard line, Smith again. Let's take a look right now since we haven't met the Colt defense yet. They're starters.
Raheem Brock, Temple.
Monte Reger, Texas Tech.
Josh Williams, Michigan.
Dwight Freeney, Syracuse.
David Thornton, North Carolina.
Rob Morris, BYU.
Cato June, Michigan.
Nick Huff, Fort Valley State.
Bob Sanders, Iowa.
Dries Bashir, Memphis.
Jason David, Washington State.
That secondary will have its hands full tonight. Meanwhile, here is Smith, who's coming off a 4-game suspension for a violation of the substance abuse policy. He was able to play earlier in the season because he was appealing. It did not win the appeal, so now he's back. They had Mewelde Moore, a great-looking rookie from Tulane, in there. Bennett had been hurt. Smith had been suspended, but each of these guys can really do the job for the Vikings.
And of all those backs, they like Ontario Smith the best because they say that he's the best running back with the best moves.
That's Mewelde Moore, who came out of nowhere to do such a great job. But he's out with a knee right now. But Bennett has come back. He's healthy. Smith is healthy. And it's 3rd down and 2 now for Culpepper out of the shotgun. And that is caught and then dropped. No, 50-yard line. Kelly Campbell went down. Couldn't corral it. And the Vikings will have to kick for the 2nd time in the 1st quarter.
And one thing, Dante Culpepper has to get in a rhythm. And this isn't one of his better throws here, but he's trying to bring his wide receiver coming back and throw it where only Campbell can catch it. Campbell didn't catch it.
Darren Bennett to punt. His first kick was only 28 yards in a series on which they lost 28 on a fumble, and that's another wobbly, shaky, bad kick that goes out of bounds at the 22-yard line. 2nd possession coming up for the Indianapolis Colts after a 34-yard boot. Indy up 7-0. Waterway, so there'll be no surfing for Hamilton tonight or tomorrow.
What would he be doing here?
That is a good question. He's watching Manning and Culpepper, and right now Culpepper 0 for 1. Manning is 2 for 3. Indy with its 2nd possession. Manning off the play fake, has a lot of time, and then has to check down underneath, and the pass is incomplete. The secondary really did its job that time as we take a look at the Viking D.
Kenny Mixon, Louisiana State.
Kevin Williams, Oklahoma State.
Chris Hovan, Boston College. Nat Udeze, Southern Cal.
Keith Newman, North Carolina. E.J. Henderson, Maryland.
Dontarius Thomas, Auburn University.
Antoine Winfield, The Ohio State University.
Corey Chavis, Vanderbilt University.
Brian Russell, San Diego State.
Brian Williams, North Carolina State.
Winfield, the big offseason pickup, free agent, played with Buffalo. High snap, and Manning corrals it. But the timing is off on the play, and James can go nowhere as he's tackled at the 20-yard line. Kevin Williams, the first guy to come in.
You know, that's one of the things that the Colts are trying to do. They go 3 wide receivers, and then they get the Vikings into a nickel defense, and then they want to run against it. But that bad snap and that draw play didn't fool anyone. But that's a big thing now in football. You know, spread them out, and if they go nickel and take linebackers out and play with defensive backs, you run at it. If they keep their base defense in, then you throw it. Here they have 4 wide receivers.
On 3rd down and 11. They rush 4. Manning to the outside. James makes the catch, and out of bounds he goes. So he has 3 good receivers in Harrison, Wayne, and Stokely, and James can also catch the ball extremely well. 15-yard pickup, 1st down.
You know, and that's exactly what they did on that play. How they have 4 receivers, and you can see here they just run these 2 off, and they just clean out. And then here comes Edgerrin James, and there's no one out there. See, the 2 wide receivers just run them deep, run them off, and then Edgerrin James can come underneath and get enough yardage for the 1st down.
1st and 10 at the 36-yard line. Took it down to 5 minutes to play. in the first quarter. Good start for Indy. Very poor start for Minnesota, beginning with that 28-yard fumble. 28-yard loss. James again seeing a lot of action early tonight. Edgerrin James, of course, he came from the U, as he says, the University of Miami. In effect, that was a deal where Marshall Faulk went to St. Louis. Indy used the draft pick to pick James, and he was terrific in his first 2 seasons, won 2 rushing titles. Then he got hurt, and now they say that he's back to pretty close to 100%.
Tony Dungy said, you know, he's as good as I've ever seen him, but I wasn't here before he was hurt, so he doesn't look like there's anything wrong to me, he says.
2nd down and 5. Manning caught and appears to be a little short of the first down as Marvin Harrison makes the catch. Tackled by the rookie out of Auburn, Dontarius Thomas, and he is short by inches. 3rd down and 1.
Yeah, we just see this cold offense, and you can see why they go for it on 4th down there, because, you know, we talked earlier, they really don't have the defense, but their offense is so good that they can, you know, play relaxed and take chances, because they know that if they have to get into a shootout, they're very, very capable of doing that. And they can run it and pass it. When they get you going like they're getting the mixture here, this is the toughest offense in football to defend.
They bring in the tight end Dallas Clark. They also bring in Mungro, who sets up as the fullback here to help pave the way for Edgerrin James, and he's able to turn the corner, pick up the 1st down, and get into Minnesota territory behind Mungro and Clark. They bring those 2 guys in, and they pave the way. They were the road graders.
Peyton Manning is over there, and he's saying, hurry up, hurry up. He wants Tom Moore to get him to play. And you see, this is an I formation stretch. Now he has to get that ball out there. Again, Edgerrin James going to the angle of the numbers and then making his cut off that. They'll run the stretch in 1 back like they're in right now, or they'll run the stretch from I formation, but they won't run the stretch from shotgun. So this is either going to be a pass or a draw.
From the Viking 49-yard line. It's a full start.
5 yards. It's still 1st down.
That's Jerry Austin. Jerry would not have been the referee tonight. Johnny Greer has had to miss parts of 2 games, and they want Johnny on the mend. He has a bad leg. So with Johnny Greer now aboard to combat, Jerry Austin, one of the senior officials obviously in the league, gets to ref tonight's game with Greer's crew. There it is. Greer, the most games ref by an active referee, and Austin would be 2nd with Tom White right behind. From the 46, it's 1st down and 15. Manning outside, throws into the middle of 3 defenders, and Marvin Harrison winds up with it. 800th catch of his career, good for 16 yards. It's put up on the board, and the crowd so salutes Marvin Harrison, number 11 in receptions with 800.
And they should salute him. Marvin Harrison, quietly one of the top players, not only top receivers in football, but one of the top players in all of football.
Now off a quick count, James to the 35-yard line, picks up a couple. Kenichi Udeze, the rookie out of USC, makes the stop, and there's a penalty.
Yeah, and they always talk about tough receivers and tough guys and what they have to do. This is a tough guy. When you come in there like this, and he's going to throw the ball right into that window, and he knows he's going to catch that ball in the window, and there's going to be 3 white jerseys there, and you catch it and you go in there, you are tough.
And Brian Williams gave him a forearm shiver right there at the end of the play. Meanwhile, because they ran it on a quick count, Minnesota had too many guys on the field, 12.
That's one of the big advantages of going no huddle.
That's why Payton loves to get the play early, have the option of either going on the quick count or taking his time. And this is James to the 32-yard line. How is Marvin Harrison stacking up with some of the others? We'll take a look at this. In the history of the National Football League, there is nobody, including Jerry Rice, who's gotten to that number this quickly. Harrison at 131. It took Rice 154 games, with the equivalent of a little bit more than 9.5 seasons to get to that point.
You notice something those 3 guys have in common? None of them were showboats.
Exactly. 2nd down and 4. Reggie Wayne makes the catch. He takes it to the 25-yard line. And one of the reasons Harrison's numbers may be a little bit down this year, John, is the emergence of this guy.
Yeah, and that's the thing that, you know, Peyton Manning knows that, too. I mean, he likes to get the ball to Marvin Harrison. He's his guy. Marvin Harrison is always out on the right side. So when he draws coverage, and Peyton Manning still has some pretty good options, one, of course, being Reggie Wayne. The other one is this guy right here, Stokely in the slot. He is a real threat. Hasn't caught one yet, but this year, good year for him. He's averaging close to 5 catches per game. Play fake, wobbly pass, and the pass is incomplete, and Wayne is saying, where's the flag? I was held. Brian Williams with the coverage, and there is a flag. The flag is dropped at the 10-yard line. You know, Antoine Winfield plays the other corner, and he's a very good cover guy and a very good corner. So most teams that play against the Minnesota Vikings will tend to stay away from that right side and throw to the left side where Brian Williams is. Williams taking over. They lost Ken Irvin, their fine cornerback, in warm-ups on opening day. Gone for the season. Achilles injured reserve.
Grabbing and twisting to the face mask. Number 29 of the defense. 15 yards. Automatic first down.
Yeah, if you just grab it, it's garden variety, but when the ref says grab and twist, you know it's going to be the major variety. See, and there's Brian Williams. He's starting to bail out there. He gets his hips turned, and then Reggie Wayne can run that out on him. He makes a pretty good turn there. I really didn't see it, but I guess he did it. I saw the grab. I didn't see the twist. No. I mean, maybe that was a 5-yard variety that they turned into the 15-yard variety. I didn't see the chubby checker. 1st and 10, 29 seconds remaining. As they'll spot the ball at the 13-yard line. Colts controlling the ball for about 2/3 of the first quarter. So he audible once, and now he's audibling again, and that's the advantage of getting the play in early. Still plenty of time on the play clock as they snap it and give it to James, who bounces off a tackler and then takes the ball just inside the 10-yard line. And Edgerrin James, who saw very little action in the past couple of weeks in shootouts, especially the one in Kansas City, has now carried the ball 10 times in the period. Well, and that was one of the things that, you know, Tom Moore said he wanted to call early was more runs to Edgerrin James to get him established and started early in this game. Colts threatening, leading 7-0 after 1. And Monday Night Football from Indianapolis resumes after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Indianapolis starts the second period. Al Michaels, John Madden, and Michelle Tafoya. 7-0 Colts. These are a couple of big downs here, Al, for the Minnesota Viking defense. You know, as good as the offense of the Vikings is, they don't play well uphill. They're not a good team playing from behind. So if the thing starts to avalanche on them, they have trouble stopping it and coming back. So I think it's important that they don't let this lead get more than 10 at this point here. Hold them to a field goal, and they'll try to do it against a team that is fantastic in the red zone. Indianapolis, 77% of the time in the red zone they scored a touchdown. Highest in the league. The league average is only 54%. 2nd down and 8. Manning throwing, caught on the outside by Pollard. Reaches for the end zone. Touchdown, Indianapolis. Brian Williams again is the guy involved in the play. He couldn't tackle him. Pollard broke out of it. 10 yards for the touchdown, and it's 13-0 with the extra point upcoming. You're going to see Pollard. He's the 3rd guy in, and you have 2 ends, and then he runs you out. And again, they go for the 2 inside guys. The 2 inside guys run everyone off, and Marcus Pollard goes to the outside, and there's no one there until he gets to the end zone. In every Colts game this season, all 8, Manning has thrown 2 or more touchdown passes. That's 24 on the season. Not yet at the halfway mark. Marino's mark is 48, and Indy leads 14-0. Looked great in knocking off St. Louis yesterday. Bills Pats. Most most TD passes first 8 games of a season. You can see Marino in '84. Warner in that Super Bowl year, '99, and Manning now at 24 with the rest of this game still to be played. Dan that year wound up with 48 touchdown passes, still the league mark. So at the moment, Manning is slightly ahead of that pace because there's still about 3 quarters to play in this one. Kelly Campbell to run this back, and Campbell able to turn the corner, and the Vikings need a big play, down by 2 touchdowns, and they just got one, and a flag comes in at the end of the play on the sideline. Hunter Smith was able to knock him out of bounds. 51-yard return, and maybe some more to be tacked on, as it looked like Hunter Smith was out of bounds when he hit Campbell. So that'll tack on a few more and give Minnesota excellent field position. That is the call, and that's exactly what Minnesota needed to get right back into this game.
Right, and Hunter Smith was probably frustrated because of the lousy kickoff.
Tony Dungy's son right there with Marcus Pollard. Back in Indianapolis, where it's 14-0 Colts, but after the run back and the penalty, Minnesota has the ball at the 30-yard line. Culpepper to this point in the game has thrown only 1 pass, and it was incomplete. The ground. Smith, gain of 2, 2nd and 8, down to Michelle.
Well, it was Kelly Campbell this week, Al, who told me that this Vikings team needs to do a better job when they get behind. He said we need to be better about not thinking we're so down and out of the game when a team gets a lead on us. Well, he said we haven't gotten there yet, but he certainly did his part with that 51-yard kickoff return. But, John, how does a team get to that point where they're better at not feeling down and out of the game?
They just have to get back into the game, and I think that's why that defensive series was so important, and now this offensive series is very important.
And look at Dwight Freeney. He is the best player on their defensive unit. Dwight Freeney came right through McKinney and Lewinsky, the 3rd-year end out of Syracuse, with a 7-yard sack.
Here he is right here. And you see again, he has great speed. He's looking in at the ball. He gets off right with the snap. And you see Bryant McKinney didn't have a chance. I mean, he got him, and he gets up there. His left shoulder gets right by McKinney before McKinney even gets out of his stance.
3rd down and 15. 16 minutes into the game. Culpepper is still looking for his first completion. Is able to get away from a would-be sack. There's his first completion, but it's only to the 25-yard line. It's caught by Jermaine Wiggins. Monte Rager put the pressure on, and it'll be 4th down.
Yeah, that just shows how strong Dante Culpepper is. I mean, he weighs 265 pounds, and they didn't get a first down on that play, but they did put him in good field goal position. And just stay alive. I mean, and that's exactly what he does is you can rush him and you can get to him, but he's very, very difficult to get to the ground.
42-yard attempt now from Morton Anderson. Started the year with Kansas City in his 23rd season, and the ancient wonder puts it through. Morton Anderson now 45 years old to make it an 11-point game. 14-3 Indianapolis. Downtown Indianapolis lit up on this Monday night, and now we come back inside. My apologies, by the way, to Morton Anderson. He's only 44 and a quarter. It's Gary Anderson who's 45. You get your Andersons mixed up from time to time.
You know, I was talking to Morton Anderson before the game, and he was an exchange student here in Indianapolis, and this is where he first kicked in his life.
Right, born in Denmark, came here early. Pyatt is the returner, brings it back out to the 13-yard line with 12:37 to go in the half.
You know, here's the pass tree, and this is what Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison come out and they do before practice. And you see the short routes, and then the middle routes at 10 to 12 yards, and then the deep ones. That would be the up, the post, the corner. Here you're going to see a post pattern. And you think that these things just happen, but watching them like this before the game, watching them in practice, watching them on the bench, they're always working, they're always talking. Look how a quarterback and a receiver talk to each other. with their mouth and their hands.
Look at that. You know, there are different horses for different courses, and then there's McNabb and Owens and their communication. A little different.
I like Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison.
At this point, pretty good combo. 9-yard gain on first down here for the hard-working Edgerrin James, who has now carried the ball 11 times for 58 yards.
Like we said last week, he didn't carry the ball once in the second half, and he said after the game he didn't even feel like he played a game. He's going to feel like he played a game tonight.
Second down and 2 from the 22-yard line. Gets it off quickly. Harrison makes the catch. Third grab for him. Here's Michelle.
Al, you mentioned Marvin Harrison and the fact that the passes are being distributed all over this Colts offense. I talked with Marvin about that at practice Saturday. He said he's a little bit frustrated. He said, quote, obviously someone wants it that way, though he wouldn't tell me who that someone is or even suggest who it might be. He told me, I get open all the time. It doesn't come to me. I'm frustrated. I'm getting, quote, the short end of the stick, Alan John.
You know, John, I wonder, is a receiver ever always happy? Well, right now, Brandon Stokely is pretty happy because he just made that catch over the middle. Gets taken down by Russell, and it's a 20-yard gain for Brandon.
No good receiver ever thinks he's covered, nor does he ever think that anyone can cover him. And that's what Marvin Harrison has. You know, I mean, he'll say, this guy can't cover me. You know, they're not, and there's no one that can cover Marvin Harrison. But, you know, if the coverage goes that way, if they rotate that, then that takes a progression and the read away from him and to someone else.
You can't knock success, and this is an offense right now that is number 2 in passing, number 2 in total offense. It's first down and 10 from the 45-yard line. I guess, you know, when you think about it, from time to time, even a running back who's a workhorse will complain, I didn't get my runs this week. And we've heard receivers and all of the great ones. I mean, Jerry Rice has gone through periods like that too. You're not getting me the ball enough.
And that's the one position. If there's a selfish position in the NFL, it's a wide receiver position. It's not the quarterback position anymore. It's not the running back anymore. I mean, it's the wide receiver. And I think sometimes they get carried away with their numbers and worry about those things more than they do winning the game. And when they do that, that's wrong.
That's why I hate incentives and contracts. Second down and 9. Manning throws, and the ball is caught by Brandon Stokely. Somehow able to get possession, not have it hit the ground, and the ball at the 41 for a first down.
You know, I think Brandon Stokely fits in perfectly with this offense. I mean, you have Marvin Harrison on one side, and you have Reggie Wayne on the other side. Then you can go 3 wide receivers and bring in a Brandon Stokely, who at that position right there, I think as a 3rd wide receiver right now is as good as anyone.
And here is James, and James is close to a first down. And they ran that one so quickly, Stokely barely had time to readjust his chin strap.
We were just talking about Marvin Harrison, how he's always open or always thinks he's open. Watch here. He puts that hand out there. I used to always tell my receivers, don't do that. Keep your hands down because you don't know when the ball left the quarterback's hands.
Second down and 1 from the 31-yard line. Draw. And they stop James. It's a nice play there by Kevin Williams, the tackle coming into the backfield. And, you know, John, I talked about the incentives and contracts, and I hate them. I'm not saying that's the case with Harrison, who, by the way, is a free agent. And obviously Bill Polian wants to, and Jim Irsay, re-sign him. But when you have those things in the contracts, that's what the guys are going to think about first.
Well, it never makes any sense because you get to a point sometimes where if you're winning the game, you know, you want to slow it down in the second half, in the 3rd quarter, in the 4th quarter, you want to run the ball and all those things. And these guys that have incentives, they still want you to throw it. But to win the game, sometimes it'll take you away from that.
Exactly. 3rd down and 2. A dump off here to James Mungro, and Mungro came into the game because Edgerrin James had lost his shoe, and Mungro on 3rd down is able to make the catch and pick up the first down. And that's 9 straight completions now for Peyton Manning.
And he just moves the ball around. He gives everyone an opportunity. But watch this play action fake here. See, he gets the ball out there, makes a good play action fake, gets everyone going to that side, and then Mungro's all alone on the backside. Watch that fake. You see how he gets the whole flow of the Minnesota Viking defense coming that way, and then he goes to the back door.
That was the fake to Dominique Rhodes, the backup running back. And the guy saw a lot of action in the 1 year in which James was hurt and did very well. Then the snap a little bit high. That's been the case a lot tonight. And Manning throws, and that's caught short gain. And paying the price was the aforementioned Rhodes. Gain of about 3 to the 25. Hit there by E.J. Henderson.
You know, you're right on that. It looks like Peyton Manning is jumping every time he's in the shotgun. And I don't know if he's just jumping or if those snaps are really that high. And that could be something that he's just doing. I don't know. Maybe it is that high. But, you know, knowing Peyton Manning and the way he studies and likes to do things, you know, that could be part of his fate.
James is back in the game. You're right. You never know what's real and what's Memorex with him. Jeff Saturday, one of the best centers in the league. Long-time snapper, long-time center for Peyton Manning as the play clock goes all the way down here on 2nd and 6. And there's a little dump again. James. And James able to take it to the 21. There's a flag down on the play.
You know what happened is Ryan Dean.
10 yards. Repeat 2nd down.
Ryan Dean was the guy that was holding. He was trying to invite his guy up the field to run the screen, and the defender just stood in front of him, and then Edgerrin James kind of ran right into Dean, and he was holding. But what you try and do on that screen pass is you try and invite the rusher or the defensive end on your side up the field so the back can go underneath him. That time the defensive end didn't go up the field. Ryan Dean held him. Edgerrin James couldn't get underneath him.
Those numbers reflecting very much time of possession, better than a 2-to-1 ratio for the Colts. And who would believe with 6.5 minutes to play in the half, Dante Culpepper would have one pass completion. 2nd and 16 at the 35-yard line. Manning feeling the pressure and stepping up, and incomplete intended for Marvin Harrison. By the way, the next time he hits Marvin Harrison, it's another milestone. They will break the all-time record for most completions, quarterback to receiver. Right now they are tied with Jim Kelly and Andre Reed.
And he was really trying to break it on that play. As we said earlier, Marvin Harrison usually lines up in the right, just about 95% of the time. That play, he lined up on the left, went in motion, and ran an in pattern. They were trying to get the ball to him.
3rd down and 16 now. Manning had completed 10 straight until that last one. And that little hop as he takes what appeared to be a pretty good snap, and he gets taken down. Kevin Williams, 2 big defensive plays for the 2nd-year tackle out of Oklahoma State, who leads all NFL defensive tackles with 5 sacks and now 6.
Here he is right here. Tupe Peko is the right guard, and you're going to see Williams is just going to rush right over him. He just gives him a bull rush right up in the middle. He gets Peko standing up, and then he just pushes him right back into Peyton Manning.
Manning, the toughest quarterback in the league to sack this season. Now Mike Vanderjagt comes in. This is going to be a 56-yard attempt for one of the best in the league and one of the best all time. Clearly makeable for him. But they're going to let the clock tick down, take the timeout, and maybe Dungy will decide to punt at this point. We'll see. The downside to this, obviously, is that if you miss the field goal, and they're going to send the punting group in, they were just trying to get an offside there.
5 yards. It's still 4th down.
If we would have missed it, then Minnesota, with the #1 offense in the league, would have had the ball at the 46-yard line.
Right, and they have Minnesota down. The Viking offense hasn't gotten anything started this whole first half, and you don't want to help them out. And as you say, you don't want to give them good field position. By punting here, the Vikings aren't going to start this drive with good field position.
Manning sack took him out of field goal range, and that's reminiscent of opening night in Foxborough. As Hunter Smith's punt is fair caught. Burleson fair catches it inside the 10-yard line. Little pushy shovey here. 5:16 remaining in the first half. Indianapolis leading Minnesota 14-3. Minor league baseball in Victory Field at Indianapolis. The lights are on. on Monday Night Football next week. 1st and 10. This drive begins at the Minnesota 8-yard line. 5:16 remaining in the opening half. And on the ground, the Vikings stay with Ontario Smith.
I'll tell you one thing the Vikings are going to learn. Without Randy Moss, they're going to see different defenses. You know, if you look at the Moss factor here, where Randy Moss is in, they're always going to have some safety way deep, and he's going to be out of run for us, so it's going to be a lot easier to run the ball. They put him in the slot, and you see it takes a guy on him plus a guy way off him. Everyone will loosen up and open up other things. Without him, everyone is going to play this Viking defense a lot tighter.
And Randy Moss might be out for 2 to 3 more weeks. So again on the ground, and Ontario Smith after the 12. And, you know, obviously your offense is dictated by the score and field position and all the rest. But what would the odds have been that 25 minutes into this game, Dante Culpepper would have thrown 2 passes, 1 complete for 11 yards?
Well, the thing when you play the Colts and Peyton Manning and they get hot like they are, they're going to not only score points and move the ball, but they're going to keep it away from you. And that's what they've done to the Vikings and Dante Culpepper so far.
Culpepper working against the worst defense in the league and the worst pass defense in the league in terms of statistics. And that's batted in the air and luckily caught by Ontario Smith. Dwight Freeney was the guy who batted it in the air, and it's enough for a first down.
Boy, is he quick, though, Dwight Freeney. You know, this is a tough play. He would be about as tough as you'd have to play a defensive end in a dome like this. You play him inside, and he has this artificial turf and this crowd noise behind him, and a guy that can move like Dwight Freeney, he would be a nightmare for an offensive tackle.
1st and 10, ball at the 20-yard line. To the outside, caught on the outside there by Marcus Robinson. Robinson will have to step it up in the absence of Moss. Robinson, 8th-year guy out of South Carolina, 6 years in Chicago, 1 year in Baltimore prior to Minnesota.
But you know, as you watch Dante Culpepper, you know that he's going to get started, and that's all they have to do is get some good field position. Last time they had it, they got a field goal. Get some good field position and get him into some type of rhythm. He's been in no rhythm because they haven't had the ball enough yet.
That's a false start, so they'll push him back 5 yards. Chris Lewinsky.
Ball start, 76 offense, 5 yards, it's still second down.
That man, Chris Lewinsky, 5-yard penalty, 2nd and 12.
They're saying that this may not be a real good Colts defense, but when you take the combination of playing on this AstroTurf, this very fast turf, and this crowd noise, that is like a 12th man for a defense. It really is.
2nd and 12. Michael Bennett is the running back in this formation. Short drop. Culpepper, who's massive, can run, but is not going to run very far. And that's Larry Triplett for the tackle.
That was the thing Tony Dungy was talking about. He said with Dante Culpepper, he's going to move, he's going to scramble, he's going to get away, but you have to chase him. You have to keep going after him. You have to get him to the ground. And that time Larry Triplett did it.
3rd and 11 as we tick down to the 2-minute warning, and the Vikings have just 1 timeout. Out of the shotgun.
It's a silent count.
Deep over the middle, caught, and it's Kelly Campbell who gets free and gets whacked at midfield. Took a shot after he made the catch. That's going to take us to the 2-minute warning with 1:53 after a 29-yard pickup. So the Vikings down by 11, but on the move. 1:53 remaining in the half. Minnesota with 1 timeout left. Ball at the 49-yard line, and on 1st down, Culpepper under pressure, scrambling away. Everybody covered. gets inside the 45 to the 44-yard line. Tackled there by Floyd and Von Hutchins, two of the DBs, after a 7-yard gain.
And now the Vikings are going with no huddle here. But isn't Culpepper an athlete? You know, you look at him, you think 265 pounds, that he'd be kind of heavy-legged, slow-footed. Not at all. He is very, very quick.
Major rushing threat normally. Great maneuverability.
He just showed it on that last play. Excuse me.
Yeah, Kelly Campbell, who was being worked on for about a minute when we went to the break after he took that shot from Anthony Floyd, is back in the game. 2nd down and 3. And that is caught. Nice catch by Marcus Robinson. Robinson able to fend off the defenders on his way to catching a 13-yard gain.
I know what everyone's thinking, because I'm probably thinking the same thing now. Why don't you play the whole game like this? You know, I mean, whether that word is sense of urgency, I don't like that word, but, you know, I mean, there where you got some emotion, you got some quickness, you're getting up there, putting the defense on their heels, those kinds of things.
Took a lot of time to get that off, and then they give the ball on an inside handoff to Mo Williams. That's a 1st down, 19-yard line, only one timeout left, so it would be to Minnesota's advantage right here to get up there, and they were a little slow in getting to the line and spiked the ball, saved some time. And finally they do, but that took a long time, 5 or 6 extra seconds before they were able to spike it. Now Culpepper, that's the sign for let's rehuddle. Of course they can rehuddle now with the clock stop.
Yeah, and the thing is because they have the one timeout, they still don't have to throw the ball in the end zone or to the sidelines, and that's why you like to keep your timeouts, because then you can throw the ball any place in the field. And I think that's you can go right here to the end zone, because I think the closer you get to the goal line, sometimes the tougher the throwing. It's easier throwing here than it is 5 or 10 yards up the field.
Just inside the red zone. From the 19 on 2nd and 10. Instead, they throw it underneath, and even if you complete it, you have to use your last timeout. 3rd down and 10.
We're talking about Dwight Freeney and his quickness down there, and the combination of his quickness and the crowd noise is really a nightmare for a tackle. You just see, I mean, he has great knee bend, and he can just come around on a stunt and just get right in front of the quarterback and make him throw that bad throw that Culpepper just threw.
Shotgun on 3rd down and 10. Minnesota trying to culminate this long drive with a score. Williams has it. Williams is going to take it to about the 5-yard line. They have to take a timeout here, and they do. They have to at this point, but it leaves them with just one play. I mean, that was not a well-executed usage of the clock. They couldn't spike it in time. Took a long time for the timeout. Here comes Anderson of the Seattle Seahawks. And Charger fans, we've got Charger highlights tonight. What a story that is in San Diego, John.
Yeah, you talk about teams flying under the radar. I think the San Diego Chargers were for a while, but how about that clock management? I never had the feeling that the Vikings were trying to score a touchdown. I just felt they were trying to get in field goal range.
And that's what they'll settle for, a chip shot 23-yarder, but they ran only 6 plays from the 2-minute warning in, including a spike. At least they turned it into a 1-possession game. They have turned a 14-0 deficit into a 14-6 deficit at the half. And coming up next, the Toyota halftime show when we come back after this message from the NFL and a word from our ABC stations. Well, a little different than we had anticipated, because you look at these two guys through their first 7 games. I mean, they're chasing Dan Marino's single-season records in a couple of categories. And then tonight, Culpepper, remember, only had 1 completion through about the first 25 minutes. Then he had that last drive that resulted in a field goal. Neither guy really burning it up, though. Peyton Manning doing pretty well, 113 yards and a quarterback rating of 137.6. Colts got off to a hot start, led 14-0, and it's now 14-6 as we begin the second half. Al Michaels, John Madden, Michelle Tafoya in Indianapolis. Brad Pyatt back to receive the kick. Aaron Elling is the kickoff specialist, and he sends it down to the 6-yard line. Pyatt, good open field tackle up at the 30-yard line that time, made by Antoine Winfield, as we check in with Michelle.
Al, spoke with both coaches at halftime. Tony Dungy told me the key is stopping the Vikings on third down. He said his defense did that well early in the game, but the Vikings started to convert some. He said that's going to be key to the second half. For Mike Tice, he said the key to the Vikings' success here late in the second quarter was just due to settling down, getting used to the crowd noise, and settling in. He likes the way his team hung in there, and he thinks they're much more calm and ready to approach this second half.
They turned it into a one-possession game, 8-point lead, ball at the 31, as Peyton Manning and the Colts offense gets ready to run its first play of the second half, and it begins with Edgerrin James, who saw a lot of activity and fighting his way, breaking tackles, broke out of the E.J. Henderson would-be tackle and picks up about 7. Just before the half, John, we showed this graphic, and you had talked about it earlier. When Mike Tice has the lead, he's coached 40 games now in 2.5 seasons, 17-3, but when trailing, as you suggested, that's not where they want to be. 3-15 when trailing.
I've always felt that the Vikings are not a good uphill team. Now you say, well, most teams aren't, but I will say this: the Colts would be. And remember last year we saw them against Tampa Bay come back.
Did we ever? As they were down by 3 touchdowns with less than 4 minutes to go in the game. Edgerrin James that time stopped by Kenichi Udeze, the rookie from USC. The numbers through the first half here, and they would have been much more lopsided were it not for that last Viking drive from their own 8 to the Indy 5-yard line.
I've always felt that the Vikings get too down on themselves when things go bad, and you know, you have to have a bad memory in this game. I mean, if something goes bad, then things are going to go poorly. Things aren't always going to go right, and when they don't go right, you just have to forget them and keep going on. And that's what I know. That's what they're preaching. That's what they're coaching. That's what they're trying to get in this team.
And they didn't go right at all last week when they lost to the Giants. And in 3rd and 2, that's Marvin Harrison, and that's a new mark. So Harrison became the earliest to get to 800 catches, and now he and Manning together have combined for more completions than any other quarterback receiver tandem in the National Football League in the history.
Watch Marvin Harrison here. He not only uses speed to go vertical and to do those things, but he uses his quickness to go inside and find holes for Peyton Manning.
1st and 10 now at the 47-yard line. Stretch play, James to the outside. Here comes the flag.
One thing about Edgerrin James, he gets so low in his running position that he doesn't give you anything to hit.
10 yards, repeat first down.
Hold pushes him back 10 yards, says Jerry Austin.
Watch how low he gets here. I mean, he just runs in that position. He has great knee bend, and you see how he gets down there, and when you come up to hit him, there's nothing there to hit. I mean, it's just kind of helmet, shoulder pads, and knees.
1st and 20 now. We talked about Manning and Harrison. Total completions now from one to the other, 664. Eclipsing the Kelly Reed mark. Play fake here. Manning stepping up, throwing underneath. It's incomplete. Intended for Wayne. Pressure put on by Udeze. The old record right there, 663. Kelly and Reed with the Buffalo Bills right now, 664. And the thing about this is these guys could go out of sight because each is in like the dead prime of their career.
You know, and as you said, Marvin Harrison is going to be a free agent at the end of this year, and they have to sign him. I mean, once you decide that you're going to give Peyton Manning all that money and he's going to be the quarterback, you have to surround him with other very good players.
James, too, is a guy they have to keep their triplet combo. Caught Dallas Clark, tight end, 2nd-year guy. Ball up at the 44-yard line. Antoine Winfield makes the tackle, setting up 3rd down and long.
The thing that Peyton Manning does so well in that shotgun is get that ball from the snap and then get it quickly to a throwing position. You know, you can't leave it out there for a long time. You have to get it, then put it quickly in a throwing position so that you can make that quick release.
40% of the snaps that Manning takes come in the shotgun formation. Manning running out of the pocket and across the 50-yard line to the 47-yard line. Antoine Winfield stops him there, but because of that penalty, they don't pick up a first down, and then comes the punting group.
Yeah, the defensive line ran a stunt there, and then he had to get out of it. You see, here come the Vikings, and they come on a stunt up the middle. He sees and feels that and knows that he has to run. I have no idea what he's stretching for here. I mean, that line's about 5 yards away, and he's stretching to get that first down.
The ultimate competitor.
This would just be instinct.
Hunter Smith almost had the kick blocked. It's a low kick. It's fielded at the 9-yard line and not fair caught by Nate Burleson. That was a risky move, and it's going to have a big, big payoff. Burleson with Campbell out there to block for him, and he's going to run it to the end zone. Wow. So it starts out as a kick that almost gets blocked, winds up as a dangerous fielding of a punt inside the 10-yard line, and away he goes for 91.
He makes some great moves there. The first thing that any punt returner has to do, take the ball straight upfield first. Then once you break through that first wave, all you have is a safety and a kicker. Hunter Smith is the only guy there. He tries to knock him out of bounds. Now remember, the ball can go out of bounds. The ball, the goal line extends around the world, and as long as his feet are in bounds, the ball can be out of bounds. His feet, I didn't see his feet. I would have, yeah, his feet are in bounds. So the ball can go out of bounds, so that's a touchdown.
2-point conversion in a 2-point game. When you're down by 8, you go for 2 here to try to tie it up. Culpepper. Crowd, of course, doesn't like what they saw on the replay, and I think they want Dungy to challenge it, but he won't win the challenge. And now Culpepper will try to take it in himself, and with that big body, there's no sign yet. Did he get across the goal line? He did, to tie the game.
Dante Culpepper has some rhythm going now, and he just runs that ball like a fullback. You know, he's a 265-pound quarterback. He's a quarterback when he has to be. When you need a fullback, look at this.
The old forward lean play here to tie the game. Second longest punt return in Vikings franchise history. Charlie West with the record in 1968. 98 yards. This was a 38-yard punt. It was a 91-yard return. And Elling to kick off. Bouncing ball fielded at the 8-yard line by Dominique Rhodes. Not a lot of room to run. 28-yard line. So the near block in the kick and a touchdown.
Watch Kelly Campbell, number 16 here. Right there. He almost blocks it. In fact, he was held before that. So then the ball didn't get up in the air. It was kind of a line drive kick. And you watch when Nate Burleson catches the ball here, there's no one around him. And then he breaks his first wave right here. Then all there is a safety there and a kicker. And that's going to be a touchdown.
And then Campbell, who almost had the block, is the last guy to help him out. Just does get in. 2-point conversion by Culpepper, good. And the Minnesota Vikings have erased a 14-0 deficit. So we're tied early third quarter from the 27-yard line. James to the short side of the field for a gain of a couple. Matt Burke is mic'd up. What do you think about all that?
Flags. No flags. Yeah. Two. Like those kind of drives. It's been about 4 years since we returned a punt.
That's what guys from Harvard know. They know all the stats, all the records. They know everything. But anywhere you can get life in a game, you need it now, and that's what the Vikings got. I mean, they got it from their special teams. Now
they have all the momentum, and here the Colts have been stopped since their first 2 drives. And James is about a yard shy here. 3rd and 1. The next play coming up for Indianapolis.
I know what the Colts are doing here is you think, okay, now it's 14-14. We had everything going. We were on a roll. Let's go back to the same way we started. You know, we don't have to go and throw every down. We can still stay in balance and move the ball on this defense.
3rd and 1, and this is one of the rare times that the Colts will huddle up as they come to the line in a tight formation with just one wide out in Harrison from the 36-yard line.
The Vikings are playing with 3 safeties, what they call big nickel. Oops.
And Manning can't believe that Marcus Pollard was the man who started before the snap.
Ball start, 81 offense, 5 yards. It's still 3rd down.
Back to 3rd and 6 now.
You know, those are the things that drive a coach crazy. You know, you talk about discipline, and sometimes you think it's, oh, guys, you know, beard is too long or something like that, and that's not. I mean, discipline is when you get up there and you're short yardage, your goal line, you're anything, you play the snap count. There's no way in that situation, you're the home team, the crowd's not bothering you, there's no way you should jump.
And a holding call on the last drive short-circuited that and forced the punt that was run back for the touchdown by Burleson. 3rd and 6. Manning moving to his left and throws high, intended for Stokely, covered by Winfield, and it's 3 and out for Indianapolis.
After that penalty, then they got him in 3rd and long, so the Vikings substituted, and they went to 6 defensive backs. Antoine Winfield, number 26 there, he's covering the slot guy, Stokely. He's the best cover guy. Stokely couldn't make a move on him. Manning is throwing at one place, Stokely's going another place, and Winfield caused the whole thing.
Hunter Smith into the game. Low spinning kick. This time Burleson takes it at the 19-yard line. Breaks 2 tackles, but not a third, as they gang up on him at the 24-yard line. Here comes Culpepper now after a 50-yard boot, 6-yard run back, and the game is tied in Indianapolis. Because that's the scene for Hoosiers, one of the great sports films, obviously, of all time.
Don't you feel like you could just hit a jumper on that court?
No question. Looks so easy. 1st and 10, 24-yard line. Culpepper starts this drive with a pass to Jermaine Wiggins, who's played in a couple of Super Bowls, one with New England, another with Carolina, and hopes to play in a 3rd, 2nd, and 1, gain of 9.
Well, the Vikings figured out one thing, that Dwight Freeney here, if he's going to play like that, we better get him double. So they're sliding the line, and you get Burke is coming over to that side. If he's going to take it inside, you have the tackle McKinney blocking him, and then the center Matt Burke coming to his side.
Mike Tyson, his 3rd year, took over when Dennis Green left at the end of the 2001 season. And across the middle goes Michael Bennett, stopped by the rookie Bob Sanders, and that's enough for a 1st down. Mike Tyson, longtime tight end, played at Seattle, learned a lot from Chuck Knox when he was there, then with the Vikings was an assistant coach, and then Green made that sudden departure. Mike was named the interim coach and then got a 4-year contract, or a 3-year anyway. And there's Red McCombs, the owner, who says he plans obviously to exercise the 4th-year option, and depending on what happens this year, maybe extend it. You know, John, every time I look at Red McCombs, all I think about is he's from San Antonio, his own sports teams. Larry Brown used to coach for him when Larry was with the Spurs. So a few years ago, he buys the Vikings. He goes home. He says to his wife, Charlene, and by the way, it's their 54th anniversary tomorrow, "Honey, I just bought the Minnesota Vikings." And she said, "Are you crazy?" And he said, "Nope, I'm 70.
And I have enough money to do what the heck I want to do."
Absolutely. It's fun time. 2nd down and 9 from the 36-yard line. And Culpepper, that's not fun time for him as he gets sacked by Dwight Freeney. And there's that man again.
And you know what he did that time? He put a spin move on Bryant McKinney, and that's the thing that Freeney has. Watch, he'll start up the field, put his left hand in there, spin, and when he ends up his spin, he is on his inside shoulder. Then it just comes up the field. Watch him spin, and then right up the field and right into Dante Culpepper. There's a lot of guys that can't make a spin move because they don't keep their feet going forward. Dwight Freeney does it very, very well.
Freeney went to the Pro Bowl last year, the first Indianapolis defender to go to Hawaii since '87. And this is Michael Bennett up to the 37-yard line.
Yeah, Freeney gave him some juice there. We saw that spin move on the right side. Then on that last play, they moved him over to the left defensive end, and he was working over there on Matt Dorsey. So that's the thing with a guy like him. When you get him in third down, you don't have to worry about playing run defense, and you can move those defensive linemen around.
Fourth down, into punt now. Darren Bennett. This one's a good one. Hyatt Fields at the 15, and great coverage downfield quickly to make the tackle on him is the former Giant, Ralph Brown. 5:20 left in the third. Good one. Heating up in Indianapolis. 14-14. A week from tonight. This drive begins at the 13-yard line for the Indianapolis Colts. 5:20 to go in the third, and a pretty rapidly paced game as Manning throws a wobbly one, but right on target to Marvin Harrison. And he takes the ball into Minnesota territory to the 46-yard line, a 41-yard gain.
The first thing you have to look at here is the play action. That's going to hold everything in the middle. You see how they ran that stretch play, then they faked that stretch play. Then they bring Marvin Harrison across from the left side, and he goes in that area that was vacated by the guys that went for the play action fake.
First down and 10, 46-yard line. This time they give it to Edgerrin James. They either give it to James or they run a lot of play fakes. Manning, 40% of his passes this year have come from what's called play action. You fake the run, you throw the pass, and it's the most in the league. There it is. Peyton on top, double the league average. So in other words, 1 out of every 5 passes in the league includes a play fake. And as you can see, Culpepper is right about the league average.
It was surprising last week. They were way behind to Kansas City. They were still running play action fakes, and Kansas City was still going for it.
I know why.
At some point, you have to say, hey, the guy has to pass. Forget the play action.
Second down and 7. Manning throws. What a catch by Harrison. What a grab. Winfield with the coverage. How did he bring that one in?
I don't know. He has great hands. You know, you always say, what are hands? Someone to catch the ball. Hands are when both hands work together. When the hands go down, both of them go together. You just come out there and just pluck that ball out of the air. Peyton Manning, he just knows that. I mean, he has so much confidence in Marvin Harrison. He knows if he gets it close, Harrison will get it.
So in rapid order, they have moved the ball from their own 13 to the Viking 35. Through the middle, knocked away. Trying to get it into Dallas Clark, and that's Brian Russell, the safety, to bat it.
Yeah, this is why the play action pass is so effective. As you look here, and you're going to see the run. You see him come back, look the ball into his hand, and then on the right is the play action pass. See, he puts it in there, and right now you have to believe it's a run. On the left, it's a run. On the right, it's a play action fake. He looks at the run, and then he studies that and tries to make the same move on the play action fake that he does on the run.
Just buys that fraction of a second that very often makes the difference. And again, the fake there. Clark makes the catch. It'll be first down and goal from the 9. 27 yards.
When you're a play action fake team, you can play action fake all the time. Most teams won't do it from the shotgun. You watch here, the Colts are in the shotgun. He does a play action fake first, that holds the line, and then he gets Dallas Clark in behind. You see how it just holds that linebacker for a step, and that lets Dallas Clark get in behind him.
That linebacker was Michael Teal. First down and goal, under 3 to play in the third. Through the middle. James gets about half the distance. Second and goal to put it down probably just inside the 5-yard line. This drive has now consumed 83 yards.
Yeah, that was the start. Remember the first 2 times the Colts had the ball, they scored touchdown. And then they had some bad things. They had penalty and punt, and then they had the penalty with the false start.
Number 1 in the league in the red zone. 2 red zone touchdowns tonight. 2nd down and goal from the 4. Fake throw. Clark. Touchdown.
Yeah, the tough thing when you're down that close, you have to get turned around quickly. Watch, see, he turns his back to the play, then he has to turn around and locate Clark. Watch him here. He turns his back to him, and then he's going to come. See, he turns his back, then he has to turn around. He looks out to the left, and he finds Dallas Clark. So that was kind of a third read. Boom, turn, look out to the left, and then come back inside.
Vanderjagt tacks on the extra point. 3rd touchdown of the season for Clark. Manning has hit 6 different receivers for touchdowns this season. His 25th TD pass of the year. Colts by 7. Jimmy Smits guest starring in the season's most powerful episode. All new NYPD Blue tomorrow on ABC. Hunter Smith's kick is short hopped at the 10-yard line by Derek Ross. Brought down up at the 29-yard line. So after the Vikings tied the game, they now trail by 7 again. In comes Culpepper with 2 minutes and 1 second to play in the 3rd. 7-point Indy lead. RCA Dome. Vikings, of course, play in the Metrodome in Minneapolis. Same type of building. Ball at the 29. Same type of noise, except it goes in the other direction tonight. And on 1st down, the pass is caught by Jermaine Wiggins. And he turns that into a 9-yard gain, diving over Nick Harper. 2nd down and 1.
Yeah, that was one of the things that the Vikings wanted to do tonight is run a little more and then get their own play action pass going, and then eventually go for the big plays off the play action pass. And that's kind of in lieu of having Randy Moss.
And Moss out with a hamstring. Had played a couple of cameos in the last couple of games, but he'll be out tonight for sure next Sunday, and who knows after that. Look at that. Culpepper out of a rocking chair hits Jermaine Wiggins, who had all that time. The line did a wonderful job. Bob Sanders makes the tackle, but the ball is in Colt territory, and it's a 1st down.
You know, he had Marcus Robinson down here in the left side, and they were trying to do just what we were talking about, go play action pass and go for a big one. He was looking out here to the left of Marcus Robinson. He didn't have anything there, but he had great pass protection, and he was able to come back to the right. But he tried to get the big one. He tried to go for the bomb to Robinson.
Final minute, 3rd quarter, from the 46-yard line. On the ground, this is Bennett, who can't get out of his own tracks. Bennett had been hurt first part of the season. Made a big splash when he came in from Wisconsin. About as fast as any running back in the league.
You know, here's one thing. You know, we talk about playing without Randy Moss. This is one thing you wouldn't see with Randy Moss. The 8th man in the box, or the safety coming up. To see Bob Sanders coming up there to help to stop the run, having the extra guy. If Randy Moss were there, you don't play that defense against the Vikings.
I remember when you said not only is he great, but he's the best decoy in the league too.
And that's what I think they're really missing here now.
2nd and 12. Very slow developing and risky play, but it turns out to be a good play for the Vikings as Bennett makes the catch and turns what would have been a loss or maybe a fumble pending this penalty call here. There's a flag down into a good gain. There's a flag down. Austin has just signaled end of the quarter, but now he has to check with one of the other officials to see what the call is here. It would be.
Foul on the play, holding 78-yard line. 10 yards from the spot of the foul. Repeat 2nd down. 3rd quarter is over.
Matt Burke. It'll be interesting to see if we get anything on mic'd up after this. So back they come. The third quarter is over. 21-14 Indianapolis, and Monday Night Football resumes after this message from our ABC stations. Here in Indianapolis and a few blocks away inside the dome, Tony Dungy's team, the Colts, on top 21-14. On that last play that ended the third period, the game was 23 yards total, but only 6 yards at the spot of the foul. It resulted in a 10-yard penalty. Thus, it is second down and 16 as we start the fourth quarter for Culpepper and the Vikes from their own 48-yard line. And the ball is handed off to Bennett across the 50. So we have Burke mic'd up on that last play at the end of the third, and the penalty call and all of the rest. And here it is, audio and video.
Hands inside, and I run over the top of him.
Yeah, but you yanked him down.
No, I went over the top. I landed on. How did I yank him down? I went over the top. I was on top of him.
You can't do that. You gotta let him go.
Let him go? This is football.
He's right. You have to let him go. That's when you let a defensive guy go. Although he did have a hold of him with his right hand.
Jeff Bergman was the line judge. It was pretty clear when we looked at it again. The penalty was the right call, and Culpepper flings one to the 30-yard line. That's hauled in again by Jermaine Wiggins, having a good night. That's 18 yards, and Wiggins has caught 5 balls tonight for 63. Back to Burke.
See, here he is. Now watch that right hand. He's blocking Bob Sanders, and you see him grab it there, and then the official was right. He did pull him down.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he thought that he had his hands inside. You know, that's a rule on pass protection. If your hands are inside, it's okay, but you still can't have your hand on his shoulder and grab that shoulder and pull him down.
Cameron knows all. Ontario Smith, who saw a lot of action early, but none recently, sees plenty here. Breaking tackles Smith, who started the game, and they went to him on a number of carries early. Then he was on the bench, and he has seen very sparing action in the second half, but he's back in the game with a flourish.
Matt Burke kind of comes back. They do a real good job of blocking right here in the middle. And you see Burke and Dixon, they get a double team, and Ontario Smith is able to run right off that. Mike Tyson thought that he was going to have a big game tonight. We talked to him last night.
4th-round pick out of Oregon last year. First and goal from the 10. Smith. We talked about it before, the Vikings with David Thornton making the tackle. The Vikings, 3 very good running backs. We know about Michael Bennett and his speed. Smith showing us what he could do last year and early this year before he had to sit out the 4 games with a suspension. And we talked about the kid, Moeldy Moore, with the knee injury, who came on out of nowhere, drafted from Tulane, who gave them a lot of burst in the month of October.
Right, and I think it's a combination of 3 things. Those guys are pretty good running backs. They have a good offensive line, and then the Moss factor that would a lot of times let you play against 10 men on defense.
Second down and goal, split back set here. And that's a little flip out to Mo Williams out of the backfield. And a big 3rd and goal coming up now from the 7-yard line.
And he had to flip it out to Mo Williams on that one because Dwight Freeney was right on him. And that's the thing, you know, sometimes you say, why don't you hold the ball, why don't you throw it in the end zone, why don't you do this, why don't you do that? If you look here, they try and double. Culpepper at that moment had to get rid of the ball.
Dante 13 of 16 for 146 tonight, and the Vikings will spread it out. Only Culpepper in the backfield in the shotgun. 3rd down and goal. 5 wide receivers. And the pass is caught for a touchdown just across the goal line by Nate Burleson. Sat down just inside the end zone and hauled it in for the score.
Now you watch Dante Culpepper. He's really feeling comfortable now. And as he told us, he said when his offensive line is giving him protection, he gets comfortable in the pocket. And you can see that throw. And the way he looks, finds his guy, drills the ball in there. He is very comfortable in the pocket. Especially to get 5 guys spread out and go back there and shotgun. Those guys had to protect well.
Goes to his knees at the goal line. Morton Anderson bangs it through. And with 11:27 remaining in regulation, things really heating up now. 21-21 in Indiana. Vikings scoring drive. One period lapping over into the other. 71 yards. Burleson, who had that 91-yard return, right now is the key guy for the Vikings tonight. Catches that one there. Burleson tonight, just that one catch for the touchdown. Kick fielded 7-yard line. Dominique Rhodes. Good run back to midfield, and finally it's Elling, the kicker. Flag is down, and Elling is down too. When the kicker makes the tackle very often, that is the end result. He is the kickoff guy because Morton Anderson just doesn't have the leg for those boots, and right now Elling looks to be, I don't want to say seriously hurt, but he really took a whack.
Holding, number 98, during the run back, 10 yards, first down.
Robert Mathis, let's check in with Michelle.
Al, when you want to talk about quarterbacks, you call Joe Montana. I spoke with Montana earlier today to get his thoughts on this matchup. He called Peyton Manning a steady player, a great competitor, but he said, unfortunately, he kind of reminds me of Danny, referring to Marino, in that he can put up a lot of points, but you can't outscore everyone. Of Dante Culpepper, he said he's amazed by his size and mobility. He said, I can't believe these guys are so large and so fast. I wish I could have moved like that. Imagine.
Imagine if Montana was that size.
No, and they probably wish that they could do a lot of things that Joe Montana could do, and that was getting rid of the ball and accuracy and being a leader and a winner.
Still working on Elling. Elling trying to tackle Dominique Rhodes.
You know, that's the thing. I mean, they go to their knees, they close their eyes, they cross their legs, they do everything wrong, and then they stay in a flinch position. I mean, you know, kickers in all due respect, you know, they just kind of practice kicking. They don't practice the football parts of football.
I was going to ask you, I mean, how much tackling work would a kickoff guy get? Any?
No, none. I mean, you know, they get some form stuff or they go through stuff, but you can see that, you know, that he wasn't too excited about having to do that, and most of them aren't. I mean, the last thing any kicker that I know wants to do is to have to make a tackle.
So Morton Anderson will, I'm sure, assume the kickoff duties. There he is. Elling is also the guy who would kick long field goals because Morton's range right now is only about 45, 46 yards. First and 10 for Indianapolis now from the 35-yard line. Manning dumps it underneath. Caught by James up to the 47-yard line. Edgerrin has a first down.
Yeah, that's the thing that you always have to do against this Colt team. And, you know, as you worry about the wide receivers and the wide receivers getting downfield and the speed of them. So you're giving them depth. You don't want to get beat deep, and you leave a lot of underneath stuff open for Peyton Manning. They haven't gone to Reggie Wayne in a while, have they?
Well, now that you mention it, look for it. Gain of about a yard here. Tony Dungy, take a look at this. In his career, in the history of the league, most wins, no losses in games in which a coach is led by 14 or more. Dungy, perfect. Brian Billick, perfect. Mike Holloway, the old New England, when they were the Boston Patriots coach, 2 ties, no losses. So Dungy is in that position here where his team early led by 14. Edgerrin James to the 37-yard line.
You know, and a lot of that with Tony Dungy was the defense that he had at Tampa, and then he comes here and it's the offense he has here with the Colts because they can score so quickly. They're never out of any game. And again, if you want to play pass, they'll run. If you want to play run, they're going to pass. And look at this guy. I mean, he just has moves on moves, doesn't he? Like, he's pointing to someone, telling someone to do something.
And that's 106 yards for Edgerrin James tonight, who's averaging close to 5 yards per carry. First and 10 from the 38. Manning's going to throw it outside to James, and James escapes a would-be tackle for a 7-yard gain. Lance Johnstone could not bring him down. Edgerrin James, a little more about EJ.
One word that defines me is real. straight up and down. What you see is what you get. I would have loved to have met Walter Payton. My definition of a winner is no matter what hand you're dealt, you go out and succeed. My biggest fear is going broke. My favorite rappers are Trick Daddy and Jay-Z. Richard Pryor makes me laugh so hard.
Edgerrin James, and here he is again. It's the Edgerrin James show to the 20-yard line. And another 1st and 10. Most yards from scrimmage per game, it's Edgerrin James. For guys who played a minimum of 50 games with the equivalent of a little bit more than 3 seasons, Jim Brown and LaDainian Tomlinson, 129.3, and tonight 118 alone for him, and 33 through the air. 1st and 10, 20-yard line. Dominique Rhodes started to go to the other side. Manning says no.
I think Minnesota only has 10 guys out there on defense.
Timeout.
They have had no linebacker play at all on this drive.
Tie game, costly timeout. We'll see. Indy leading. Minnesota tied it. Monument Circle again. Indy retook the lead. Minnesota tied it. And now it's 1st and 10 at the 20 after the Minnesota timeout because they had only 10 men on the field. Dominique Rhodes in the backfield, and he is stopped after a gain of 1. They're in the red zone at the 19-yard line.
And as you say, this is the best team probably in football in the red zone. I mean, they practice this a lot. The whole thing, they have packages. They can go 2 tight ends to get you here. In this case, they got 3 wide receivers. Stokely in the slot here to the left.
2nd and 9. They brought James back into the game. And Manning has this luxury in the no huddle. I mean, the play clock is still at 8. You can do a lot of things, shift a lot of people. 2nd down and 9 out of the shotgun throws. It is caught by Pollard. And now Pollard's going to try to wrest the ball away. A touchdown has been signaled. A 19-yard touchdown as Pollard had it wrested away, but after he had possession and after he had crossed the goal line.
Yeah, you say, why does Peyton Manning do all that stuff? He's up at the line of scrimmage. He calls. He changes a play. He gets from the T formation into the shotgun. This is why. Look, he gets in the shotgun. He's looking all the way for Pollard. He looks to the outside, doesn't have anything out there, knows that Pollard is the next guy in, and he hits him perfectly.
Vanderjagt. Colts have now scored a touchdown 20 times in their last 21 trips into the red zone. Pollard 2 catches tonight, both for touchdowns. Colts by 7. Peyton Manning looking over the notes and pictures and going over things with Tom Moore on the bench. Manning tonight 4 touchdown passes. He threw 5 against Kansas City and lost last week. Pollard has caught 2 balls, both for touchdowns. James 45 yards from scrimmage on that drive.
Tom Moore, he calls those plays and he has that play chart. The game's at 9 o'clock. He gets here at 3 o'clock and starts practicing calling plays.
There's an offside on the Colts. They were offside, so this is Kelly Campbell. And Campbell now brings it back up to the 40, and the flag comes down at the end of the play. So the kicking team was offside, and then there's a flag as the tackle is being made.
So when the kicking team was offside, that really gives you a free return, because if you don't like your return, you can have them kick it over again. But then this penalty could be against the return team.
Jerry Austin. We know what one call was for sure. And we can probably tell what the other call is by Mike Tice's expression. Or which team it's going to be against.
We have 2 fouls on the play. Offside, number 29 of the kicking team. Illegal block from behind, number 37 of the receiving team. Those penalties will offset at the spot of the receiving team's foul. 1st down.
Dante Culpepper ready to go to work again. The officials have been in conference since we went to break. In this situation, Minnesota has an option because they got the ball with, in effect, clean hands on the offside on the kick, the offside of the Colts. So they could either have a re-kick despite the fact they were penalized, or take the result of the play with the penalty. And that is what they have done. They could have either had the Colts re-kick from the 30-yard line with the dual fouls, or what they have chosen to do is take the penalty at this particular spot, 35-yard line.
Yeah, because they do have good field position.
35 is good field position, and look out, all of a sudden that field position is not very good thanks to Dwight Freeney, who does it again, but there's another penalty marker down.
Offside, 93 defense, 5 yards. It's still first down.
So all that, and it's going to be 1st and 5 instead of 2nd and about 19.
I was going to say he's just too quick for McKinney over here, but here he jumped off sides because he got by McKinney before McKinney got out of his stance, and you have to say I've never seen that quickness or that tackle be that slow, but maybe Dwight Freeney left a little before the ball was snapped.
He might have, but that was not an obvious offside. I mean, it was almost perfect. 1st and 5. Culpepper again comes back this way. That's going to be a first down. Ball is caught by Ontario Smith, and he goes out of bounds up at about the 48-yard line.
There are a couple things NFL quarterbacks have to do now is they have to be able to move a little, in the pocket to buy some time, and they have to be able to throw from all angles. And that's what Dante Culpepper did then. I mean, you're not going to get that perfect drop back, that perfect set every time. Sometimes you're going to be in some imperfect feet position, but you still have to make a good throw.
Meanwhile, Culpepper a perfect second half, 9 for 9. 1st and 10, ball at the 48-yard line. Smith over the 50, so they're at the Indianapolis 49-yard line. Back and forth this game has gone tonight with 6 minutes to play in regulation. Peyton Manning 245 yards and 4 touchdowns. Dante Culpepper 162 and 1 touchdown. There's Edgerrin James 118 yards on the ground, 33 more receiving. Burleson the big play, 91-yard punt return, 8-yard touchdown reception, and it's a 7-point game. Ball at the 49, 2nd down and 7. Colts showing blitz, and again there's action up front. And it's going to be against Minnesota.
74 offense, 5 yards. It's still 2nd down.
Bryant McKinney.
Yeah, that was Bob Sanders, that safety we've been talking about, has been coming up quite a bit against the Vikings and becoming that 8th man up. He comes up that time and he fakes like he's going to blitz, and he gets McKinney to jump. Watch him come up here. You see him, McKinney can't hold. He's thinking that I have a blitz coming, plus I have Freeney and his speed on my outside. I better get started.
Freeney and McKinney know each other, of course, from college, Syracuse and Miami. And this is Smith busting tackles, losing his helmet, and taking the ball back to the 50-yard line.
Hey, one thing, I'm impressed with this Colt defense. We talked about that earlier, like Tony Dungy said, we're not a very good defense. We got a lot of young players. We play good on this turf, and we have to tackle better. They're doing those things tonight.
They came into the game last in defense, which means they've given up the most yards. Last in pass defense and 14th in rushing defense. 3rd down and 8. Crowd roaring. Culpepper to the near side here, and that's going to be a little short of the first. Marcus Robinson made the catch. Was the play whistle dead? It was. Head linesman comes in, and there he is, number 48 to the right, and says The play was dead at the 43-yard line.
Now what does Mike Tice do? This is a very interesting situation here. You don't get the first down. You still have plenty of time. You go for it on 4th down in this field position. Mike Tice has already made the decision they're going to go for it.
I think they have to in this situation. 4th down and 1, 43-yard line, but they're going to take a timeout first, and that's their second. So it becomes even more compelling for Minnesota to convert here with just one timeout left. 4th and 1, and the play of the game coming up when we come back. So following the timeout for Minnesota, it's 4th down and 1. The ball is at the Indianapolis 43-yard line. The Vikings have one timeout plus the 2-minute warning, so it becomes very important for them to convert here. And they come up in a tight formation. Extra tight end in. Fake. Culpepper's going to run it himself, and he's going to get the first down and about 7 yards more as he takes the ball to the 34-yard line, rolling to his right, picks up 9, first down Vikings.
You know, that's the advantage of Dundee Culpepper in short yardage. You can have him right here as a passer. He can still throw the ball there, or he can tell the guy, you block, I'm going to run it for the first down. That gives you the two-way go. See, it's an option. It could have been a pass, but when he sees that he can make the first down there, there's no need to throw it.
Ball at the 34-yard line. They spread it out. 5 receivers, and Dante's going to run it again on a draw and slides to a stop at the 24-yard line, enough for a first down.
You know, everyone that plays defense against the Minnesota Vikings will tell you the closer you get to the goal line, the more dangerous Dante Culpepper is as a runner. So you try and contain him, you try and do all those things, but then you don't cover. So then you try and cover, and you give him some pretty big holes to run in down here.
Pick your poison. From the 23-yard line. Smith, hard running, inside the 10, dives for the touchdown. Ontario Smith, who saw a lot of action early, almost no action in the middle of the game, and now he's the man again out of the backfield. 24 yards, and he's gained 80 yards in the game, and they're an extra point away from tying it up.
Watch this. They're going to pull Matt Burke and David Dixon. They pull both the right guard and their center. Watch the block right there that Burke gets. That's the one that frees Ontario Smith. That's pretty good when you get that big old 350-pound guard and 330-pound center pulling around the end.
Extra point by Anderson is good. Ontario Smith picked a pretty good time for his first rushing touchdown of the season. And we're tied 28-28. Above the RCA Dome. And now inside. And don't forget their kickoff man, as we take a look at the replay here, Aaron Elling is hurt.
Watch this. They have the power on that side, and then they pull the guard and the center. Burke gets his block first. David Dixon, the guard, gets his block second, and Ontario Smith splits him.
And now Anderson is going to have to kick off. Morton started the season kicking off, and as you can see, 6 kickoffs, and the opponent's average start was the 38-yard line. So he wasn't kicking off well enough. That's why they brought Elling in to be the kickoff specialist and long field goal guy, but he was hurt on the last run back, and so the 44-year-old Morton Anderson sends this one skyward. 12-yard line. Brad Pyatt coming to the near side of the field and is forced out of bounds up at the 28-yard line with 2:50 left in regulation. Monday Night Football being brought to you by T-Mobile. Get more minutes, more features, more service. McDonald's and the coldest tasting beer in the world, Coors Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL. Aerial coverage tonight brought to you by Goodyear.
Now we're talking football, huh?
Now we're talking football.
You know, and the Colt offense is built for these kinds of situations where it's first down, they huddle up now, but they won't huddle up the rest of this drive.
Ton of time. They have all their timeouts. They have a 2-minute warning, so that's not an issue right now for the Colts at the 27-yard line. Fake give, fake end around, pass screen, set up James. Edgerrin James breaking tackles up to the 44-yard line. And we talked about it before after those knee injuries. Dungy said, I didn't see him win, but you know, he looks pretty good to me now, and he looks real good tonight.
Yeah, he's doing everything that they wanted to, because they can not only fake to him, then they fake the reverse, and they come back and throw it to him. They can hand it to him and let him run, fake it to him, and throw the ball.
And the crowd is booing because they think this is a faked injury to stop the momentum, as the Vikings' Michael Nateel, E.J. Henderson is down, and of course the crowd thinks this is nothing but a ruse so they can regroup defensively.
Yeah, he's on the left side of the screen right there, and he just starts to limp off and then goes down. I mean, he started to limp, but he kind of went limp, and then boom, he just went down.
He's a pretty good player. I'm not sure if you're going to fake an injury, and this guy's pretty key to their defense. You might want to have somebody else fake it.
You're not going to fake it. It was legitimate, because, I mean, you can see right here and see the hit. Watch his left knee. Watch what happens there. And then like you say, you wouldn't want to fake it because you have to take the guy out, and you don't want one of your players to have to be out in this situation.
Now the rule is, had that happened inside the 2-minute warning, that would have cost you a timeout, and Minnesota only has one. But Henderson's going to go to the bench.
Don't you feel here, Al, like the last team that has the ball wins?
I think you're right. It has that feeling, as do so many of the games played this year by the Colts on 1st and 10. Manning's going to run, and Manning has a lot of room to roam, and goes to the 40, and then falling on top of him and drawing the flag, Lance Johnstone. And the Colts come over and say, thank you very much.
Yeah, he did more than fall on top of him. Lance Johnstone was chasing him, and again, when he goes down, you can't touch him. You can't hit a guy when he's down, obviously. See, when the quarterback goes feet first, he gives himself up. And when he gives himself up, you can't hit him after he gives himself up. That's the protection of the quarterback. Oh, Lance Johnstone was coming in there with a little malice in his mind.
You know, John, you're talking about the last team to have the ball. I think what Indianapolis has to think about now, and I know it runs counter to what some people think, you've got to score when you can score.
Yeah.
But they have to also think about, you know what, you can take this clock way down. You've got Mike Vanderjagt, a terrific field goal kicker, and leave Minnesota with this potent offense no time.
Yeah, because that's the thing that they have to worry about, is if they score too quickly, they're going to give Dante Culpepper plenty of time to score against them.
Meanwhile, the clock's going to next stop at the 2-minute warning. They're already in field goal range. James takes it to the 23-yard line. So now you have the 2-minute warning with 1:59. It's going to be second down and about 8 when we come back. Manning will go to the sideline. Vikings will regroup, and we'll go inside the 2-minute mark. Locked up, 28 all.
Monday Night Football, Eagles, Cowboys. Next Monday, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific on ABC.
Interesting strategy coming up here now with a very heady quarterback, a team that knows they can take almost all the time off the clock if they can get a first down and force Minnesota to use its last timeout and set up a Vanderjagt game-winning field goal.
Well, what if you were Minnesota? What would you want them to do? Would you want them to score quickly, or would you want to stop them and have to try a field goal? Because there could be the case, and the Minnesota defense just lets them score.
If they get down a little farther, you have to think about that. I mean, that's the old Green Bay Denver Super Bowl a few years ago.
I mean, right here, do it.
Yeah. the Mike Holmgren strategy.
Yeah, I mean, if you believe that they have a field goal right now and you want to get the ball back with time to have a chance to win it, maybe somehow you do let them score.
I think, well, the best thing for Minnesota right now is to stop them. To stop them and at least get the ball back, force Vanderjagt to kick a field goal. Minnesota got a break there because of the free time out of the 2-minute warning, but they've already spent 2. And now we'll see what they do. But this is a big play right here as you look at the quarterback comparison right now. Manning with 4 touchdown passes. You look at those QB ratings, terrific again for both. Manning 145.2. E.J. Henderson is back in the game. It's 2nd down and 8 from the 24-yard line. James. And James does them what a favor he just did them. He goes out of bounds. How do you go out of bounds in that situation?
There's no way. He just kept bouncing and bouncing, and at some point when you get to that thing, you have to stay in bounds, even if you have to go down, but you have to make the cut back to the inside.
Whew. 3rd down and 5. That's the last thing you do in that situation, because you then either force Minnesota to take its timeout right here, or you take 40 more seconds off the clock. 3rd down and 5 at the 21-yard line.
This is a big defensive play for the Vikings.
Manning, a little dump shovel. James atones, picks up the 1st down, takes it to the 15, and now it's all in their hands. Minnesota can only stop it 1 time.
Okay, now we go back to the question, you let him score now.
Is this left-handed? Sure
yes,
it is.
It is left-handed. That's the thing we were talking about. Dante Culpepper can do those things. Peyton Manning could do those same things, and you have to be able to throw from different angles. And sometimes, I mean, you hate to see that, but you have to throw with different hands. What a play.
What a play.
At a time when it was needed most.
Now it's 1st and 10. The Vikings can only stop the clock once. They're going to have to do after this play. James, 15-yard line. And I guess, well, at this point, the Vikings can take their timeout whenever, because Indianapolis is just going to run the clock down as far as they can.
No, but I would let him. I'd take my timeout, but I'd let him score. I mean, the only chance that the Vikings have to win this game is if the Colts score and they get the ball back,
or if Vanderjagt misses or they block the kick. That's the other thing, or it's a bad snap. Chances of that happening are fairly minimal because Vanderjagt, as I say, is one of the best in the league.
Let's look at this pass again. Play action pass. He looks, he can't find anything. He feels the pressure. He knows he has to get rid of it. He sees Edgerrin James out there, so he gives it to him with his left hand. He brings the ball out his right hand because that's where the pressure was coming from. Put it away from the pressure and threw it with that hand.
Pressure from Keith Newman comes in, figures he's got the right hand well taken care of, and says, what?
Now that is a football player.
That is a player.
That's a football player, too.
Absolutely. Marvin Harrison is the deep guy just in case. So they'll keep the clock winding down. And Mike Vanderjagt will be coming in to try to wrap this one up for Indianapolis.
Well, the Colts weren't going to fall for that after the timeout, were they? They weren't going to run any play because they knew that same thing. So they just had Peyton Manning take a knee.
Colts will let the clock run all the way down. Now, if I'm the Colts at this point with 3rd down, I think I might bring Vanderjagt in here, because on 3rd down, let's say there was an errant snap, you'd still have the opportunity to kick it on 4th down. So they're going to take a timeout here. I think I would take my chances if I'm the Colts, instead of running it all the way down, kick it here, do whatever you want on the kickoff, and take my chances that way.
I agree with that. If you ever have that decision, that's the one that you have to make, because like you say, if you miss the kick, you don't get to kick it over again, obviously, but if there is a bad snap or anything goes wrong with it, you can regroup and then kick it again on 4th down. So I agree that they should kick it now on 3rd down.
But the way it looks right now, they are going to run it down to a couple of seconds and just let Vanderjagt kick it at the buzzer, keeping the offense on the field. So they're going to come to the line. They're going to kneel down, and then it'll be 4th down with a couple of seconds left in the game. And it'll be up to Vanderjagt.
Peyton Manning has already talked to the referee to tell him when he wants a timeout, and he takes it right then at 6 seconds.
NFC North. That's right now. Minnesota would go to 5-3, and they're at Green Bay minus Moss again next Sunday. And in the very tight AFC South, there it is. Indy would go to 5-3 and be tied with Jacksonville, with Tennessee in last place, only 2 games back.
And he still has to make this, doesn't he?
Yep, Justin Snow will snap it. Hunter Smith will hold it. It'll be a 36-yard attempt for Vanderjagt. And the Colts are up by 3. So they had the great luxury of knowing Minnesota had just 1 timeout, already being in field goal range, milking the clock, and leaving Minnesota with the scantest of chances right now on a kickoff return for a touchdown.
Right, and that key play was by Peyton Manning, and that left-handed pass to Edgerrin James. Right here, they needed a 1st down. Can't pass with your right. Put it in the left and get it out there. And Edgerrin James does the rest to get that 1st down. Well, that was true, wasn't it?
It was true. The game is not quite over with 2 seconds left. But in the minds of some others, it's over.
What do you think for the horse trailer? I think Peyton Manning for his whole game, but just based on that left-handed play, I think he has to be on there. I think what Edgerrin James does, I think.
Yeah. Well, I go for a dual one tonight. I think Freeney had a great night, but you know, when a guy throws 4 touchdown passes and another guy collects 179 yards from scrimmage,
they ought to be hauled all alone.
They should be a dual haul.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, because a lot of what Peyton Manning did was made possible by what Edgerrin James did.
Here's your squib kick down the middle of the field, and they don't even have a chance to run it back, period. Perfectly placed squib kick, and Peyton Manning and the Colts snap a 2-game slide, go to 5-3 at the midway mark of the season. Manning on his way to maybe breaking some of Dan Marino's single season marks. 25 touchdowns at the halfway point. Mike Tice, short week without Randy Moss, has to go to face Green Bay at Lambeau Field next week. And so the Indianapolis Colts saw a 14-0 lead evaporate, saw a 21-14 lead evaporate, saw a 28-21 lead go away, win it with 2 seconds to play on the Vanderjagt field goal, 31-28. Coming up next, the Autotrader.com postgame show here on ABC.